In this video, I'm going to show you how to stop being a nice guy. I've been called a nice guy in the past, and just like you, I did not like hearing that because you know that's not really a compliment. Now, what I've discovered and what I'm going to share with you today is being a nice guy is actually a trauma response. Being a people pleaser is actually a trauma response. What does that mean? If you or I are coming across as nice guys as adults, that is evidence that we are holding some trauma from the past, which means somebody or a set of people abused us in the past, which then caused us to grow up to be people pleasers. Now, you're probably going to say, hey, Jad, I wasn't really abused that much. Yeah, sure, my dad was a little hard on me. Yeah, sure, I went through some bullying, but I wasn't abused. So let's first put that, let's address that. So abuse doesn't have to be major, doesn't have to be extreme. If somebody hurt your feelings, if somebody said nasty things to you, if somebody put you down, if somebody treated you in the wrong way while you were a child, while you were in your developmental stages, that qualifies as abuse. I'm going to give you 2 new words to add to your vocabulary, which are going to help you break free from this nice guy syndrome. And also, these 2 words are going to help you understand yourself more and understand why you tend to have people-pleasing behaviors. And I'm also going to explain why it's so hard for you to stop these nice guy behaviors, even though consciously you're trying to stop it. So this past year, I made an accidental discovery where I discovered 2 words that helped explain a lot of my nice guy behavior. The first word is, these are terms. So the first term is the fawn response, F-A-W-N, the fawn response. The second word is codependency. So let me explain both of these terms for you. Number 1, the fawn response. The fawn response is basically when you submit to people all the time, where you put them above you. So a great analogy is if you've seen a pack of wolves or a pack of dogs, the most submissive dog or wolf in that pack will immediately turn on his belly and show his belly in submission the second any other wolf or dog comes up to him, right? Which means he's fawning. He's like, I'm not a threat. I'm not even going to try to be a threat to you. I'm submitting. I'm showing you that I'm submitting, so there's not going to be any conflict here, okay? So nice guys, guys who have people-pleasing habits, usually have the fawn response. So why do we do this in a social setting? Well, if we were abused when we were younger, either by our parents, our caretakers, our bullies, then we have developed a trauma response to keep us safe, which is if anybody comes up to us and it seems like there's going to be any confrontation at all, one way to neutralize the confrontation is to show the other person that you've submitted. I've submitted, there's no need to beat me up. I've already submitted, right? And so how this comes off usually socially as a nice guy is you smile too much, you're too agreeable, you give kind of this face and this body language, you're very agreeable, you're very just, I'm not a threat, it's okay, I'm not going to challenge you, you can be the dominant one, I'm already metaphorically bowing to you. So that's a trauma response. You see what I'm saying? Let me explain it another way. There are 4 responses to a threatening situation: fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Okay, so when you grew up, you could fight your abusive dad, probably not going to happen. You can flight, you can run away from your abusive dad. Well, if you're living in the same house, that's not going to happen. You can freeze, he's abusing you and you just freeze. Okay, maybe that happened. Or you can fawn. He can be like, yeah, you're a piece of shit, you should have. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, you know, fawn. So that's where fawn comes from. It's a response to fear. And all of these are trauma responses, and all of these kept us safe. So if you can relate to this, The first thing I want to tell you is cut yourself some slack. What we men do is sometimes we take too much responsibility for our failures and our weaknesses. Now, we should take responsibility for our lives, and we should also take into account what happened in our past so that we don't have to judge ourselves so much. So right now you're probably judging yourself. I'm too weak. Oh, every time I'm in a social situation, I'm like fawning, I'm people pleasing. I'm like, shit, I did it again, right? Like if you're like me, before you go into a social situation, you're like, okay, I'm going to play it cool. I'm going to keep my power for me. I'm not going to give people too much, right? But then, I get caught off guard and whatever. I'm like, hi, oh, ah, right? And then you're nicer than you want to be. And then you walk away and you're like, motherfucker, shit, I did it again. Fuck, right? So don't beat yourself up about that, because what I learned is that fawning is an involuntary trauma response. Involuntary. Okay? So if you're wanting to act more dominant, but then you keep acting like submissive, and then you're beating yourself up because, I shouldn't have done that, it's an automatic. It's in your subconscious mind. It's an automatic trauma response. Now, just because it's automatic doesn't mean you're stuck with it for life. One thing we're doing in this video is we're bringing awareness to this trauma response, and then with more and more awareness, you fawn less and less and less. Like for me, for example, I've been working on myself my whole life. I'm 45 years old. I didn't know about the fawn response or codependency, these terms, before, but intuitively I knew, okay, I'm being too nice, I'm submitting too much, and so I've worked on myself over the years, so now I don't display these behaviors, and sometimes I still do by mistake, or when I'm stressed out or not present enough or whatever. So another thing I want you to know, so you can cut yourself some slack, is that even Jad T. Jones, whoever you think he is, still sometimes fawns, still sometimes people pleases, because it's trauma, it's in there. And when I'm not at my best, sometimes that comes through. So if it comes through for you, just give yourself some grace and stop. Don't define yourself. Not like, I'm weak, I fawn, I'm weak, I'm a pussy. No. It's an involuntary trauma response because somebody wronged you in your past. So to conclude this section, we will say, being a nice guy, like fawning, when you're fawning, is a trauma response. It's not who you are. You're not a nice guy. You're an abused guy who's displaying an involuntary trauma response. Next, let's go to codependency. So this word, this vocabulary word, can refer to two different things. In the alcohol and drug arena, this means you are codependent to substances. That's not what we're talking about here, okay? The other definition of codependency is you have codependent behaviors, which means you depend on other people's approval. So some codependency traits are the inability to say no, the inability to set boundaries, you put other people's needs before your own, you really depend on other people's approval. When other people disapprove of you, it really knocks you off course because you really feel like you need their approval. So as you see, you are very dependent on other people's approval and what they think of you. And instead of taking care of yourself and putting your needs first, you're always putting others' needs first. And this implies that you have low self-worth, where you believe, either consciously or unconsciously, that other people are more important than you. Another way to say it is you believe that you are not really worthy and everybody else is more worthy than you. So you take care of them. You are kind of the slave to them, their servant. What can I do for you? How can I please you? You're all focused on people pleasing. There we go, brought us to people pleasing, instead of please, making sure that you're taken care of and that you're pleased. So codependency and everything that it represents is also an involuntary trauma response. When you were younger, somebody invalidated you, convinced you you are a worthless piece of shit, you fall short, you are a poor excuse for a son, you are a poor excuse for a man, and so on and so forth. So now as an adult, you are basically apologizing for yourself every time you communicate with another human. When someone says you're a nice guy or you're too nice, they might as well be saying you are displaying codependent behavior. Now, what do we do now that we know I have codependency and the fawn response, and they're both involuntary trauma responses? How do I change them? How do I stop acting this way? Maybe you have one, maybe you have both. Step one is awareness. Even having the vocabulary of codependency and the fawn response already gives you a tremendous amount of power because it makes it more specific. Now you're looking at something. And by the way, of course, you can go research this more on YouTube and on ChatGPT or whatever. But what you want to start doing is stop giving your power away. Keep your power for you. Set strong boundaries. Start valuing yourself. Sit down with a piece of paper and think about, hey, what are my values? What are my rules? What are my standards? How do I expect other people to treat me? I want you to start saying no a lot more. I want you to start being more demanding of what you want instead of being so flexible and easygoing. I want you to be more solid in your character instead of being a social chameleon and always shape-shifting and changing to please whoever you're around, which is something I did a lot. When you systematically stop all these different behaviors, you start saying no, you start setting boundaries, you start asking for what you want, you stop giving away your power all the time, you start being okay with a bit of confrontation, you disagree with people's opinions if you don't agree with them and so forth. Once you knock all these out one by one, pop, 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 eventually 6 months, 9 months, a year from now, you're going to wake up no longer being a nice guy, no longer being a guy who does the fawn response, no longer being a guy who's displaying codependency behaviors. And for the rest of your life, those things will pop up when you're very nervous or in a very uncomfortable situation, or when you're lacking presence or where you're tired. They're going to be there for life, but it's going to be a lot less. And in general, people are going to be like, okay, that's a powerful, bad motherfucker. That's a man who knows who he is. That's a man who sets boundaries. That's a man not to be fucked with. That's a man who knows that he should put himself first. And by putting yourself first, by the way, is not a selfish thing. You need to be strong first in order to take care of your people. If you are not protecting yourself and your needs and your well-being first, you are not strong enough to take care of us and to serve the world as a man. So your number one responsibility is to maintain your own well-being by putting yourself first and prioritizing what you need, and then you take care of the world. If you want to dive deeper, go to jatjones.com and send me a direct message.